Hi everybody, my name is Derek. I'm 19 years old. You know, there are people who can turn your life upside down. I mean, in a bad way. Recently, I met a person like this, and she ruined my friendship and spoiled my relationship with my family. I met Maggie on Tinder. She super liked me, and we started chatting. Everything was really cool, and very soon we went on a date. Maggie turned out to be very nice. She traveled a lot, and she had a lot of cool stories to tell. But what I liked most about her was her adventurous spirit. You know, all her stories about how she hitchhiked across America, and how she traveled by train without a ticket or money. It was very romantic and cool. And it intrigued me, because I wasn't that kind of person, and I would never have had the courage to even try one of her adventures. I loved hearing her stories though, and imagining myself in her shoes. Like I was in a movie. And when I was with her, I really felt a lot more brave. There was a music festival in our town, and we didn't have enough money for tickets, but Maggie said we could get the best seats for free. As you can see, she already had a plan of action. We walked around the festival grounds to the side. Soon, Maggie said that we'd arrived, and I saw that in this place we could slide under the fence easily, and so we did. Then we quickly ran to the stage to blend in with the crowd. We were so happy that we managed to do it. We danced really hard. I felt just like a rock star. Soon the concert ended, and we went to the exit. But suddenly, the guards noticed that we didn't have the bracelets, which were issued at the entrance. They tried to stop us, but Maggie grabbed my arm and we started running as fast as we could. Wow, that was crazy. I thought we'd get caught and would be in trouble. But all went well, and we managed to lose them. One day, I decided to introduce Maggie to my friends. We were going for a walk, and I took her with me. We had a lot of fun. Everything was just great. But when my best friend from college, Michael, arrived, the strange awkwardness began. He was very surprised to see my girlfriend. It turned out they were already familiar, and apparently they didn't get along well with each other. All evening, they avoided each other and kept to themselves. The next day, I wanted to ask Michael why he was acting so weird. But in the end, I got even more confused. He said I shouldn't date Maggie because he knows that she's crazy. It made me angry, and I started to ask him why he thought that. But Michael said he didn't want to fight, and that of course the final decision was mine, but it would be better if I believed him. It was all very strange, and obviously he was hiding something. But I agreed that we probably shouldn't fight, and we changed the subject. So, we kept dating, and our relationship was getting serious. I was very happy about it, and soon my parents became interested in my girlfriend and wanted to meet her. I wasn't against it. After all, an introduction to my parents was the next step in a serious relationship. But I have to say, I worried about it a lot. I wanted my parents to like her, so I brought Maggie to our house for dinner. We had a pleasant conversation and discussed a lot of different topics. My parents were interested in how we met, how we spent time, and so on. But then they started asking about Maggie's family, and that made me a little worried. The thing is, it's not the best question to ask her. Maggie had a very bad relationship with her parents. They treated her badly, and that was the reason for her constant trips through America, and why she was constantly short of money. Lately, she'd been staying with friends because she didn't want to go home, where nobody was waiting for her. Talking about her parents pissed her off, because it was her sore spot. Now, you understand why I dreaded this moment. Maggie held back as best she could, but she still couldn't avoid a couple of strong words in her mum and dad's direction. As you can imagine, we ate our desserts in an awkward silence. Then I walked Maggie home, and I went back to talk to my parents. Unfortunately, they didn't like my girlfriend at all. They were convinced that the problems in her relationship with her parents were her fault. And my mum and dad didn't want me to date a girl who was wreaking havoc in her most important relationships. You know, it made me very angry at the time. I defended Maggie, and I fought with my parents. Why did they say that? They didn't know the whole truth. Did they? It pissed me off that everyone was treating my girlfriend so bad. First my best friend, now my parents. What was happening? I told my parents that their opinion wouldn't affect my decision, and that I would continue to date Maggie. Then I went to my room and tried to sort things out. You know, at that moment, I really felt like Maggie. It was like I was against the whole world and no one understood me. But I kept fighting. I didn't think for a second that my parents would ruin our relationship, so we kept seeing each other. But of course, this attitude from the people around us influenced our relationship. Maybe for the first time, I saw Maggie sad. I understood her. All the people she met turned their backs on her, and she didn't deserve it. But soon, I had a way to bring her back to life. My parents were going on vacation, and they would be away for a week, so we had the whole house to ourselves, and we could have the time of our lives. After a couple of days, Maggie cheered up, and she had that adventurous spirit that made me like her in the first place. One night, we were just driving around the city, and Maggie said she'd always wanted to learn how to drive. Then I thought, why not make my girlfriend's dream come true? So, we drove to an empty supermarket parking lot, and Maggie got behind the wheel. After a quick briefing, she slowly began to drive. We slowly made a circle around the parking lot. Everything was fine. But when I told her to stop, she got the pedals wrong and she hit the gas to the floor. The car sped up quickly. I panicked, shouted for her to stop, and grabbed the steering wheel in fear. I made a sharp turn and we hit a pole. The airbags went off and we were fine. Then I began to worry about Maggie. But she got out of the car and started laughing. I didn't know what was going on. What's funny? My parents would kill me for crashing their car. That's what made her laugh? She said that my parents didn't like her, and she crashed their car, and that was very ironic. No, this was too much. I started yelling at her and getting mad. And I said that my friend was right, and Maggie was really crazy. Then she asked me if I wanted to know the truth about my friend. This confused me, and I stopped swearing for a second. She said everyone thought she was crazy, but no one would tell the truth. My friend was awkward around her because they were in a relationship a couple of years ago. Michael was a very toxic guy and was constantly overpowering Maggie. He was constantly jealous of her and tried to put limits on her. They ended up having a fight and Michael put his hands on her. Then she asked me a question. Who's crazy in this world? Her or the people who treat her like dirt? Like her parents, like Michael, and like my mum and dad. This stunned me, and I calmed down a bit. There was truth in what she said. Adrenaline was still pumping from the accident, and I decided to go to Michael and tell him what I thought of him. No one has the right to treat my girlfriend like that. We fought right outside his house. He tried to justify himself, but I didn't believe him. He was a liar, and he deserved more than a few strong words. Apparently, our friendship was over, but I still had a huge problem. I messed up my parents' car, and I had no idea what to do. I went back to figure out a plan with Maggie, but she gave me the biggest surprise of all. This was all part of her plan. She wanted to get back at my parents for talking bad about her, and when I told her what my friend thought of her, she decided to punish him too, and she totally made up that stupid story about him. It wasn't true. And she left me alone with a bunch of problems. My friendship was now ruined, and my parents would be furious about the car. She was really crazy, and everyone told me that, but I just didn't want to listen to anyone. Michael was right. The next day, I persuaded him to listen to me, and I apologized for everything I'd done. It turned out they had really been dating, and that made him uncomfortable talking about Maggie, but they didn't break up in the way she told me they did. Michael realized she was crazy after about a week, and then he dumped her, and she stalked him for a while after that. You know, I'm very happy to have a friend who can forgive me for my mistake, and I'm very grateful to him. I should have listened to him in the first place, and my parents, they were right too, and I was so rude to them. Now I have to earn the money and fix the car to make it up to them. They are wise people, and they were able to see something in my girlfriend. You know, I'm not mad at Maggie. I actually feel sorry for her. If the story about her parents is true, then she's traumatized from childhood, and she needs help. But no one can help her if she doesn't want it. It's a pity that because of her wild temper, other people, like my best friend, and my parents have to suffer. So that was my story, guys. Thanks for watching this to the end. Have you ever had the ability to see someone like that in person? Would you guess that she was really crazy? Write about it in the comment section below. And don't forget to share this video with your friends.